Here is something most people managing blood sugar have never been told. You do not have to stop eating carbohydrates. Not bread, not rice, not potatoes. What the research actually shows is that it is not the carbohydrate itself that causes the problem. It is three specific things about how you eat it. And once you understand those three things, the same plate of rice that spikes your blood sugar today can produce a completely different glucose response tomorrow. Same food, different outcome. That is what we are breaking down today, backed by published clinical research. Welcome to Purely Prime, where we dig through published research so you don't have to. Drop your current fasting blood sugar number in the comments right now. Just the number. We read every single one. Now, before we get into the three factors, you need to understand one thing that changes how you look at every carbohydrate from this point forward. What actually causes the spike? When you eat a carbohydrate, bread, rice, pasta, potato, your digestive system breaks it down into glucose molecules. Those glucose molecules enter your bloodstream. Your blood sugar rises. Your pancreas releases insulin to move that glucose into your cells. That is normal. That happens in everyone. The problem is not that process itself. The problem is the speed of that process. When glucose enters your bloodstream too fast, your pancreas has to release a large burst of insulin quickly. Over time, repeated large insulin bursts contribute to something called insulin resistance, where your cells gradually stop responding to insulin signals effectively. A study published in Cell Metabolism found that the rate of glucose absorption, not just the total amount, was a primary driver of post-meal insulin demand in adults with type 2 diabetes. Speed is the enemy, not the carbohydrate itself. And there are three research-backed factors that directly control that speed. Every single one of them costs nothing to implement. The sequence that changes everything. Factor 1. The order you eat your food. This is the single most impactful change the research points to, and almost nobody talks about it. A landmark study published in Diabetes Care followed adults with type 2 diabetes eating identical meals in different orders. Group 1 ate carbohydrates first, then protein and vegetables. Group 2 ate protein and vegetables first, then the same carbohydrates last. Same total calories, same total carbohydrates, same everything except the order. Group 2 showed 36 to 44% lower post-meal blood sugar spikes compared to Group 1. 36 to 44% lower from changing the order, not the food. Here's the mechanism behind that result. When protein arrives in your gut first, eggs, chicken, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, fish, your intestinal cells release a hormone called GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1. GLP-1 does three things simultaneously. 1. It slows gastric emptying. Everything moves through your digestive system more slowly. Carbohydrates that arrive later release their glucose gradually instead of all at once. 2. It triggers a precise, calibrated insulin response from your pancreas matched exactly to the glucose arriving. Not a large burst, a measured release. 3. It suppresses glucagon, the hormone that tells your liver to dump additional stored glucose into your bloodstream. One meal order change activates all three of those protective responses. The research suggested order is protein first, then fiber and vegetables, then carbohydrates last. Always, every meal, every time. The cooling trick that changes carb chemistry. Factor 2, and this one surprises almost everyone who hears it. The same carbohydrate, same rice, same potato, same pasta, has a fundamentally different effect on your blood sugar depending on one thing most people never consider: whether it was cooked and cooled before you eat it. Here's the science. When you cook a starchy food and then cool it completely overnight in the refrigerator, the starch molecules undergo a physical transformation. They rearrange into tight crystalline structures called retrograde-resistant starch. In this form, your small intestine cannot break them down quickly. The digestive enzymes that normally rapidly convert starch into glucose work much slower against the retrograde structure. Glucose releases over 2 to 3 hours instead of 30 to 45 minutes. The spike flattens dramatically. Research published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that cooling cooked potatoes overnight reduced their glycemic response by up to 35% compared to eating them freshly cooked. The glycemic index of a hot potato is around 85. The glycemic index of that same potato cooled overnight drops below 50. Same potato, same portion size, completely different blood sugar response. A study in Asia Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition found the same effect with rice. Cooled cooked rice produced significantly lower post-meal glucose compared to freshly cooked rice at the same portion size. The protocol is simple. Cook your rice, potatoes, or pasta the night before. Refrigerate overnight. Tomorrow you have resistant starch ready to go. Cold potato salad with olive oil. Room temperature rice with vegetables. Pasta salad with protein and greens. These are not deprivation meals. These are the same foods stored differently for one night. One critical note: reheating destroys the retrograde structure. The crystalline formation collapses at high temperatures. If you reheat it, you have converted it back. You must eat it cold or room temperature for the benefit to hold. What you eat with your carbs matters as much as the carb itself. Factor 3. What you eat alongside your carb, specifically soluble fiber. When soluble fiber is present in your digestive tract alongside carbohydrates, it physically slows glucose absorption in two ways. First, soluble fiber absorbs water and forms a thick gel in your stomach. That gel increases the viscosity of your digestive contents. Glucose molecules have to move through a thicker medium to reach your intestinal wall. They move more slowly. They enter your bloodstream more gradually. Soluble fiber slows gastric emptying independently of the GLP-1 mechanism from factor 1. It creates a physical barrier between the food and the intestinal wall. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reviewing 35 randomized trials found that soluble fiber supplementation was associated with meaningful reductions in post-meal blood glucose and insulin in adults with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. The most effective soluble fiber sources the research consistently points to are lentils and legumes, one of the highest soluble fiber foods available. A half cup of cooked lentils alongside your rice changes the entire glucose profile of that meal. Oats, specifically steel-cut oats, not instant, steel-cut only. The beta-glucan fiber in steel-cut oats is the specific soluble fiber studied most extensively for glucose response reduction. Vegetables eaten before carbohydrates: broccoli, spinach, green beans, zucchini, cucumber. Their fiber content creates that protective gel effect before the carbohydrate even arrives. Flaxseed. 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed added to any meal provides mucilage fiber that research suggests may slow glucose absorption from that meal. The practical rule is never eat a carbohydrate alone. Always pair it with a soluble fiber source. Rice plus lentils, potato plus steamed broccoli, large salad before pasta. 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed added to any meal. Before the action plan, 3 common mistakes that cancel everything we just covered. Mistake 1. Eating carbohydrates on an empty stomach with nothing before them. No protein, no fiber, no buffer. Pure starch hitting your intestinal wall at full speed during the window when your cortisol glucose is already elevated. The fix is protein first. Even a few bites of yogurt or 2 eggs before your carbohydrate changes the absorption curve completely. Mistake 2. Drinking juice or sweetened beverages alongside your meal. Even if the meal itself is perfectly structured, protein first, cooled resistant starch, fiber pairing, a glass of juice or sweetened drink alongside it introduces liquid sugar that bypasses every protective mechanism you built. Liquid sugar has no fiber, no structure, no resistance. It spikes independently of everything else. Water, lemon water, unsweetened tea, those are your mealtime drinks. Mistake 3. Large portions of freshly cooked starchy carbohydrates at dinner. Dinner is the most dangerous meal for blood sugar specifically because your insulin sensitivity is naturally lower in the evening than in the morning.
Research published in Current Biology found that the same meal eaten at dinner produced significantly higher blood sugar than the identical meal eaten at breakfast due to circadian rhythm effects on insulin sensitivity. If you eat starchy carbohydrates at dinner, smaller portion, cooled and fiber paired, after protein and vegetables, or shift your larger carbohydrate portions to breakfast or lunch when insulin sensitivity is at its peak. Here's exactly what the research points towards as a practical protocol starting tonight. Step 1. Protein first at every meal. Eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken, fish, cottage cheese, lentils. Eat your protein completely before touching your carbohydrate. Step 2. Cook your carbs tonight. Boil a batch of potatoes or rice right now. Refrigerate overnight. Tomorrow you have resistant starch ready to go. Salad before.
Step 3. Pair every carb with fiber. Lentils alongside rice. Broccoli alongside potato. Large salad before pasta. 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed added to any meal. Step 4. Never drink calories alongside your meal. Water only. Lemon water. Unsweetened tea. Step 5. Shift larger carb portions to breakfast or lunch. Keep dinner carbohydrates small, cooled, and fiber paired. Step 6. Track it. Check your blood sugar 2 hours after your next meal. Then try the same meal using these 3 factors. Compare the 2 numbers. The difference will be your evidence. That is the full research picture on eating carbohydrates without spiking your blood sugar. 3 factors, all free, all backed by published research, all starting tonight. Drop your fasting blood sugar number in the comments right now and tell us which of these 3 factors are you going to try first. We read every single comment. If this gave you something useful today, share it with someone who thinks they have to give up bread and rice forever, because the research says they probably don't. Subscribe to Purely Prime for research-backed nutrition education every single week. We will see you in the next one. Purely Prime, educational content only, not medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making dietary changes.